Well, my name is Tesfa gebre selasse ዘብሄረ. I am the son of Tesfa gebre selasse ዘብሄረ.
ስሜ መምህር ሰይፈ ተክለ ጻድቅ ፈለገ ሰላም። የተወለድኩትም በ1919 ዓመተ ምህረት መጋቢት 10 ቀን ነው። የበረዛይ ስለት
In a printed form is 1921. 1921 Ethiopian calendar, which will be 1929, I believe, in European calendar. But what we say, Tesfa gebre selasse established, even though he didn't have a printing machine, is in 1910 when he invented to put the Ethiopian alphabet, Hahu and Abogida, the Mamelikta, the Ge'ez, startup short script for children to learn, was in 1910. That's when we say that Tesfa gebre selasse established this campaign. And then, of course, as he goes, he went into modern technology and uses that and expanded from Fidel Gabata to Melk short script prayer books, Birsanat, Ged, and Ta'amr. So from small to the largest, which is Ta'amr Mariam and Ta'amr Jesus, which are the hugest book that he produced. The reason why I use campaign is based on, for example, the Fidel Gabata is a campaign to eradicate illiteracy. And he's got a headline,
yes,
the slogan that says, እውቀት ይስፋ ድንቁርና ይጥፋ፣ ይህ ነው የኢትዮጵያ ተስፋ። When you literally translate that, it says, let knowledge flourish, let ignorance eradicate. This is the only hope for Ethiopia. So at that campaign, he introduced the Fidel importance so people can read and write, which is the base of education. And it's from that beginning that right now what we see, even in church, higher papasat, you go to universities, whether it's in science or theology, or whatever, their base is this Fidel Castro. Yes, he's the pioneer. He's the first producer of ge'ez translated into Amharic. Some of them, only the Amharic version, and the ge'ez version separately, and then some of them side to side. Each verse are translated into Amharic, so he produced ge'ez Amharic version, and he's the pioneer. What the significant thing that does is, as you know, not too many people are knowledgeable with ge'ez, including myself. So because he translated, now we know what we're praying for. We understand what we're saying. Before we were just reading it, and we understand maybe 1 or 2% of it. But now I can understand 100% of it. In my opinion, the ge'ez version is a public domain. It shouldn't have any copyright. Anybody who wants to produce it, if there is any restriction, it would be up to the Beta Kahanat. But however, the Amharic version should have been copyright protected. However, we have a very weak copyright policy in this country. So for that reason, we didn't pursue it. I mean, it didn't affect our market. So we didn't challenge anybody with that. And they're doing well, which is good. You know, we're still doing well. They're doing well. So no damage. And what do you call it? A win-win situation. From what I know, depending on which dersan, depending on which gebre, he makes sure the true source of that particular parchment is good. So that's how he selected. For example, Takla Haymanut's gebre, the version that he decided to print came from the Libanus gebre. Mikhail's, I'm not sure which one, but it's one of those significant ones. So those are the versions that he thinks that are acceptable. And this is, of course, it's not only the Tesfa selasse. It's people who actually he works with, knowledgeable, educated in theology, discussing with them, and he produced those books in that manner.
የለም
ሁሉም አለ
ሁሉም አንድ የእኛ ጽሑፍ አንድ ነው
እኮ ማለቴ ገዳማት የሚገኙ እንትኖች ናቸው ብራና እንደዚህ ተጻፏል።
ከዚያ ከገዳማት ይመጣና እኛ እዚህ እናስተካክለዋለን። ምናልባት ያስተካከሉ ሊኖራሉ ይችላል።
ምን አይነት ማስተካከል
ተግዙ ይነጥባላ ይነጥባለ ወይም ባነጋገር ባጻጻፍ እንትን ይላል። እኛ ግን አስተካክለን እናስተማረኛ
He doesn't see any difference with other scripts. However, once we get it, when they go through it, they can adjust certain things that they are not really agreed with. It could be with the hyphenation, or it could be the way it was read, could be said better than that. So we adjust that. Otherwise, we get it from the church, and with the exception of this correction, we don't change it.
የራስኛ ዝግጅት እኮሳቸው ሀሳብ ያቀርባሉ። እንዲህ የሚለው ነገር ትላል አዘጋጅና ያቀርባሉ። እሳቸው
He is the one who did it. My father will give him instruction, grab that, and then put it together and present it to him. And then once he approves it, he signs on it and he goes to it.
Virgin Mary and the Thirsty Dog. A miracle of Our Holy Lady, whose name is sweet, the twofold Virgin Mary, who gave birth to God. May her prayer and her blessing, and the mercy of her beloved Son, be with her servant, our King David, forever and ever. Amen. Now, one day, there were two women with Our Lady Mary, and a thirsty dog came to them, and they drove him away. But Our Lady Mary was exceeding grieved when she saw how thirsty he was, and she wept. And the woman said unto her, Wilt thou be more merciful unto this dog than we? Shall not Christ, who is called the Messiah, be born of thee? Now when Our Lady heard these words, great joy entered into her heart. Then, taking up her water pitcher, she went to a place some distance away, and having put off her shoes from her feet, she poured water into one of them, and gave it to the thirsty dog to drink. And one of the women said unto her, Why hast thou drawn water for him from thy pitcher? If thy jar be broken, thou wilt not find water elsewhere. Then Our Lady Mary answered and said unto her, The water which I have given the dog is not that which cometh forth from a well, but from heaven and God, who hath given this thirsty dog water to drink, gave it unto me from above. Now after she had spoken these words, the word of the Father took up his abode in her. May her prayer and her blessing and the mercy of her beloved Son be with our King David forever and ever. Amen. Feed thou me, O Mary, thy servant, who is held in honour by thee, with bread of beautiful knowledge, and with wine of wisdom, even though my sin exceedeth computation. Remember, O my Lady, in thy gracious kindness, him that is in sore straits, even as thou didst give the thirsty dog water to drink.
Collecting those, the Gebre Mariam, when he first started, it was 64 different types of tamers. But as he grows up, he grows it to 123. After he collected some more that are not included. And these tamers are coming from all over Ethiopia, even outside of Ethiopia. Things that happen in Egypt, Syria, you name it, in all those biblical areas. So the next step he did was grew it from 123 to 270. And then he still didn't stop there. This is at his last of his life. His wish was to stay alive until he did this 402 type of ta'amur, which he had accomplished, and he had a good receipt from the church users. And as you know, Gebre Mariam is used on a daily basis, and it's a very demanding book. And now we didn't stop producing it. The amazing part about Tesfa selasse is he started the 64. So when he had the 123, he didn't stop the 64. He produced both. Who can afford the 64? Who can afford the 120? Who can afford the 402? So we produce all four up to this day. I can't say 100%, but I would be bold enough to say 90% are using that one. I'm not even sure if anybody else produced Gebre Mariam, because I didn't really investigate it. But even though there are other versions, I proudly can say that they use Tesfa version. Yeah, and like you said, those tamers, for example, when he had 64, he didn't have only 64 and put all of them together, and went on ahead and looking for some more. As he reached to 402, I'm sure when he got the 64, he probably had, this is a guess, 100 different versions. So out of that 100, he selected the 64 that are acceptable. And then as he looked for further, he found something that he hasn't. So he added those and kept the 64, added up and so on. When you go to Lalibela, of course they're going to show you the parchments because those are the historic part of it. But on their daily use, ask them what book they use for this prayer. Like I'm sure they'll pull out a book from their church and they will be Tesfa gebre selasse. He visited Lalibela before he passed away in 1980s. When he was 87 years old for the first time, and I was lucky enough to take him there. You know, he was the type of person who would just concentrate. He's like a workaholic, so he doesn't have time to go to places and visit. It's his personality, but I got lucky. I was at that time living in America. I came for a 3 months vacation. That's when me and him went the whole historic area. And that's when I realized who Tesfa gebre selasse really is. Because before that I used to go as a professional photographer to photograph these historic areas. And I realized what kind of reception I got that day when I took Tesfa gebre selasse to Bahar Dar, Kadams, Lalibela, Gondar, everywhere we go, when they know who he is, it was just like open arm collection. And I say, how come I didn't know this all these years? When I go to photograph, I have to bake and this and that.